What's going on, guys? Today we've got a comparison here between the Realme 6 Pro on my left and the Realme 7 Pro on my right. Now we thought this would be a good comparison considering the Realme 7 Pro is the newest edition and the Realme 6 Pro was its sort of younger brother, the one for the 7 Pro. So we thought we'll do a comparison and tell you, is it worth the upgrade or is it worth changing your 6 Pro to a 7 Pro? If you're thinking about should I buy a 6 Pro or should I buy a 7 Pro, this video will hopefully help you to decide. So before we open them, we'll go over the box, and there's something that stands out pretty quickly is that the 6 Pro box is pretty considerably bigger compared to the Realme 7 box, and we'll go over why that is later. But yeah, the box is bigger. You can see there's a sort of size difference here in height, and there's a tiny bit of length difference, but it's not that noticeable. But yeah, basically the box is slightly taller. But other than that, the outsides of the boxes are fairly similar. Obviously, on all the newer edition Realmes, you are getting this little note here saying Android with easy access to all your Google apps you use most. And that's about it really for the boxes. As I said, they are very similar, just with that Android thing difference there. However, there are some specs highlighted on the back here that you can see straight away. You can see that they both have a 64 megapixel quad camera. However, the Realme 7 Pro's camera is slightly better, mainly because it has that brand new Sony sensor. So you are getting a slightly more responsive and crisper image from the same sort of megapixels on the 7 Pro. So that's a plus side there for the 7 Pro. You can also see that the processors are identical. You've got the Snapdragon 720G in both of these devices here. So you have that similarity there. Another thing to note here is the Realme 6 Pro has a 30-watt flash charge compared to the Realme 7's very impressive 65-watt super dark charge. So the Realme 7 Pro, you're going to be able to power that up quicker, and the battery should last you a little bit longer, considering that the Realme 7 Pro has a 4,500 milliamp hour battery compared to a 4,300 milliamp hour battery on the Realme 6 Pro. So overall, battery wise and charging wise, the Realme 7 Pro is going to do a little bit better in that department. The 65-watt charger is able to charge your phone to full percentage in just over half an hour, so that is an extremely impressive charge time there, and you will never have to worry about charging your phone ever again, as that massive battery should last you all day. So that's a pro for the 7 Pro, and you can also see here that the 6 Pro has a dual in-display selfie camera and a 90Hz smooth display screen. Now that is a pro of the Realme 6 Pro, because the Realme 7 Pro actually only has a 60Hz refresh rate, and that is because of this Super AMOLED display. So the Realme 7 Pro is going to look a lot crisper because it has that AMOLED display, and it's also going to have a lot darker blacks and a lot brighter colors in general, with a higher nit rate. However, if you're more interested in the gaming side of things, then the refresh rate is better on the Realme 6 Pro. So that is some of the key factors, and they're on the outside of the box. We're going to open these up, have them side by side, and go over a few more specs for you really quick. So I've taken the tops off, and you can see here that they're very similar. You've got that "Hey, welcome to the Realme family" thing. Now this isn't an unboxing, I'm just going to show you some of the quick differences. The pouches are exactly the same, and they have the same messages on both sides. Then you come across the phones here, and obviously it's a very similar story in both. You have this sort of divider, and then you have all your sort of wires and things underneath it here. So you've got your chargers and your USB Type-C along with your SIM card ejector tray tool. Now something to note here is that the 30-watt fast charger is very similar in size to the super dart charger, yet the super dart charger is a lot quicker. So that's interesting, and I wonder how many watts we can actually get inside a charger of this size. That's just something to see in the future, and hopefully Realme will keep pushing those boundaries. So here we have the actual devices. Now, controversially, in my opinion, I believe that the 6 Pro has a slightly nicer design, although it is slightly more of a fingerprint magnet, as you can see at the top here. However, I prefer the overall design of the 6 Pro. You can see that they both have a quad camera setup, however they are a slightly different layout, and the layout on the 7 Pro is favorable for me in my opinion, just because I feel like it's more clean. But overall, design wise, again, fairly similar. If we spin them over though, you can see some of the key differences. What I'm going to do really quick is whack these both up to full brightness so you can see what I was talking about when I was saying that the Realme 7 Pro has a slightly brighter screen. And you can see it's not massive, however it is definitely noticeable that the display on the Realme 7 is slightly brighter. And you can also see a difference here is size. So the Realme 6 Pro is larger than the Realme 7 Pro. The Realme 6 Pro is 6.6 inches compared to the Realme 7's 6.4 inches. Now, it's interesting because the screen to body ratio on the 6 Pro is slightly more at 84% compared to 82% on the Realme 7 Pro. You can see here one of the key parts is that the 6 Pro has a dual camera compared to the single camera setup on the 7 Pro. However, that is a 32 megapixel camera on the 7 Pro compared to a 16 megapixel camera on the 6 Pro. So overall in the camera game, you're going to be getting better, crisper pictures from the main and selfie camera on the 7 Pro. So that is a clear winner for me. The 7 Pro has got a better overall camera game. One thing to note here is there is an under display fingerprint scanner on the Realme 7 Pro and a side-mounted fingerprint scanner on the Realme 6 Pro. So that's slightly cooler, I believe, and I think it's slightly quicker. And something to note here is the face unlock feature on the 7 Pro is among the fastest that I have ever seen. It's done literally before you can even think about it. It's that quick and you're in. I haven't set up my face on the 6 Pro, however, you have to take my word for it. The 7 Pro is extremely snappy and extremely quick to unlock. You've got the same UI on here. You're running an Android 10, you've got the Realme UI and the Realme skin on the top of it, so it looks exactly the same in that department. The 7 Pro is indeed water repellent with a water repellent coating, and it also comes wrapped in a Gorilla Glass 3 Plus compared to the Gorilla Glass 5 on the Realme 6 Pro. Some of the similarities here are the fact that they both have a loudspeaker functionality on the bottom and a headphone jack, and also the fact that they come in the same RAM variant sizes, so you can get 6 gig or 8 gig RAM variant on the 7 Pro and 6 gig or 8 gig RAM on the 6 Pro, and they both also have dual SIMs and expandable storage. Now, the main event here is the price. Now, one of the most shocking things about this is that they are both the same price, and the Realme 7 Pro is obviously a much more up-to-date model with some standout features. They are both $279 on Amazon and also on eFones.com, where you can get them right now, linked in the description below. And something to note there is today is the last day of the pre-order for the 7 Pro, so I'd make sure to get that before, because if you pre-order the 7 Pro on eFones.com, you'll be getting a free pair of Realme Buds Q along with that as well. So that's an incredible deal, and that is only if you pre-order, and as I said, pre-order closes today. So make sure if you're going to order 7 Pro, you order it today. So that's about it, guys, from our quick comparison. If you want to see a more in detailed breakdown, we will link a comparison in the description below where you can compare each spec side by side so you can see for yourself. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you consider subscribing, as we do videos like this weekly, so you can see videos comparing phones and our opinions on phones every week. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll be sure to get back to you. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.